It be your own family sometimes. Oh my goodness. So I think we're all familiar with the story of RalphYarl, the kid who was shot at by Lester, this old white guy. And luckily he's at home and he's safe and sound. Now, there was some very interesting news, I would say a bombshell to me, that was reported on CNN in this interview with Don Lemon and Lester's grandson. Don Lemon starts off by saying that Lester feared for his life due to Yarl's size. Now, this is the first time me ever hearing this defense.
He pled not guilty yesterday to 2 felonies. Lester told police that he was scared to death of Yarl due to his size. Now, Lester is 84 years old.
I tried to scour the internet. I couldn't find anything ever saying that Lester feared for his life due to Yarl's size. And if what Don Lemon is saying is accurate, which is, I don't know, 50-50, it is CNN. If what he is saying is accurate, then Lester needs to go away for the rest of his life. It's as simple as that. He needs to go night-night for the rest of his life. Just to give a recap, for those who may not be up to speed, Lester said he was about to go to sleep. The doorbell rang and he went to get this gun. Now, he said he saw someone reaching for the exterior, a black male reaching for the exterior of the door. Thought his home was about to get broken in. And he fires through a glass door, shoots twice. Now, that story is a little off to me because first off, what glass door? He said he saw someone reach for the door. So unless maybe the door was open and there's a glass door in front of the exterior door, but I'm thinking if you're about to go to sleep, you're not gonna leave your door open. We have to see as far as what his door setup is because something's not making any sense. And if what Don Lemon said is accurate, that means is what I thought, which is he saw a black person, a black male at his door and fired. Lester is 17, all right? He's a kid. And he's not any big, brawly, yoke kid. He's a scrawny little skinny kid. So I'm confused where this even came from. Here's the thing. I want people to prepare themselves for the worst. I want you to prepare yourself for the worst because if they can prove whatever the door is set up, let's say the door is a glass door, okay? And he in fact saw him reach for the door handle. Then I don't see how they prosecute Lester because he could very well say, I feared for my life, castle doctrine, hey, I fired because I feared that somebody was trying to enter my door and cause me harm. I didn't know this individual, no words were exchanged. I assumed that they were trying to cause me harm. Simple as that. And I can see how that narrative, given his age, he's elderly, he's 84, he lives by himself, I can see how that can resonate with the jury. Just letting you know. So I don't know how this is gonna go, but I can see it going both ways, depending on the more facts and evidence that come out surrounding this story. Nevertheless, this brings us to the interview that Don Lemon had with the grandson. Now, the grandson, man, bruh, who needs enemies if you got family like this, okay? Now, I'm not knocking it, okay? I'm not knocking it. Because the reason why the grandson said he's speaking out is because, it's the right thing to do. Hey, that's great. You got more integrity than 99.999% of people out there, especially if it's not under duress or coercion. Oh, you just voluntarily coming out with this information? Then yes, I give you kudos for that. Because the grandson goes on and say, yeah, he's more likely racist. He, had racist tendencies and whatnot. And I was like, do you know we can see you and hear you, sir? Do you know you being recorded right now? Like, do you understand that your grandfather is about to be on trial? I don't know if they're going to use this during the trial, but I'm sure the prosecution's going to have you as a witness. So this is wild.
Do you believe your grandfather is racist?
I believe he holds racist tendencies and beliefs.
But I think what is crucial to this is something that I've said before in previous videos, and that is the galvanizing and the fear-mongering that many of these networks do, preying on the elderly. Because you have, once again, this 84-year-old guy, and his history of black people is it's a little bit different than mine, right? His history of black people is a little bit different than your black mother and father or your grandparents, okay? So when you couple that with fear-mongering that a Tucker Carlson or Fox News, Laura Ingraham, and the rest of the right-wing media does, then you have a recipe for disaster. Because now you have a bunch of elderly white people who are toting guns, and now they have a fear of black people. For whatever reason, because they're constantly being shown negative images, negative stories. Hey, they're trying to come for your guns. Hey, they're trying to, these anti-white racism that's going on. Hey, they don't like you. You know, you had, what's his name? The clown Dilbert creator. Hey, well, black people don't like you. We got to segregate, right? All of this misinformation, disinformation, all this propaganda. And that's what it is. There's no longer news. It's propaganda mixed with entertainment. That's what we have. So he talks about, hey, this fool, he was a QAnon conspiracist. He said something racist about black women and abortions. He, just going down the rabbit hole of what the right wing does to a lot of their elderly audience, which I think, in my honest opinion, is a form of elderly abuse.
I feel like a lot of people of that generation are caught up in this 24-hour news cycle of fear and paranoia perpetuated by some other news stations. And he was fully into that, sit and watch Fox News all day, every day, blaring in his living room. And I think that stuff really kind of reinforces this negative view of minority groups and leads people to be doesn't necessarily lead people to be racist, but it reinforces and galvanizes racist people and their beliefs.
Because what they are doing is they are having a hold on many of their, on their beliefs, okay? On their brain, on how they function and interact with the world around them. So that's very much, if you're, not racist, if you don't have, an anti-black bone in your body, you're gonna have a disconnect with someone who watches and values this propaganda, which is exactly what the grandson said.
A lot of it was the kind of QAnon level conspiracies about election denying, and then they got really weird with some Fauci dogs. I really didn't know what that meant, but I would push back on some of this stuff, and he couldn't handle being pushed back on. And at a certain point, we kind of lost touch, and I think it was more of his choice than mine.
And I think it's extremely important to understand that many of these individuals are being radicalized. He goes on to talk about how he was conservative, and there's nothing wrong with that. But throughout the years, he's been more radicalized via the news that he watches. Because you have people who just sit down and watch it. And it's not like the TV goes off anymore back in their days where it would go off. Now it's 24/7. So it's a constant loop of fear-mongering, fear-mongering, fear-mongering. Hey, the left is coming for you. The left hates the country. We're losing the country. We got to fight back. Stop being nice, conservatives. We got to stop being nice. We got to fight back. Fight like hell. And that has an impact on people. Just like a child can be gaslit, an adult can be gaslit too. They can be both of them can be manipulated. They, in some cases, can be more manipulated than some of these kids. As wild as that may sound, you have a lot of these adults who have childlike mentality. They never matured mentally. They matured physically, but that's not an accurate depiction of what they have going on upstairs. And to add to insult to injury is exactly what I thought in my first video, which was that he was in a predominantly white neighborhood, and most of these individuals were probably elderly and anti-black racists, okay? Or anti-black biases that they had. So when one of the neighbors goes and tells this black kid who is hurt to lay down with your hands up, that's exactly what they meant. They treated him as a criminal. It wasn't until another white neighbor came by and saw that this kid was hurt and stayed there with him until paramedics came.
Yeah, we know, Peter, that Ralph Yarl, after he was shot, went running for help. His family said that he begged for help at basically 3 homes. And finally, a neighbor yelled at him to get on the ground and put his hands in the air. Ralph, this wounded kid, they say, complied. At that point, that's when James Lynch, a separate neighbor from all that commotion before, says he basically heard the yelling. He came running. He hopped a fence. And he says he got down next to this teenager who he could tell obviously was gravely wounded, stayed with him till paramedics arrived. Here's part of what he told us. Take a listen.
Now, we need more white people like that instead of the white ignorant who said, just lay down, put your hands up. Because we've seen before, hey, even if you lay down, put your hands up, that does not mean, okay, you will not get harmed by law enforcement. We've seen this before with the teacher and the special ed. And they, he asked, why did you shoot? And they're like, brr. So that doesn't even mean anything. But I want to give all kudos to the white neighbor who came by and actually assisted this Yarl on the ground and stayed there. Because if this kid had died, I want you to think about this. This kid had actually perished. He would have perished from making an accident, an innocent mistake, lying on the ground with his hands up until his hands fell down due to him, going to heaven. I want you to think about that. That's a horrible way. And that's the same thing that the neighbor said. It's a horrible way to go. We wouldn't wish that on anyone.
He wasn't alone. He wasn't by himself. Somebody cared. To lay there in the street alone and scared and bleeding, that's awful. He wasn't alone. I was with him as soon as I knew he needed help, I was there. And I was there with him until the right people were there to make sure that he was okay.
But I want you to see, when you have people like Lester, and he lives in a community like people like Lester, there is a certain racial anti-black animus that these people have. And it's due to the content that they are consuming. And the content they are consuming they have no standards. Their whole job is to garner votes and to garner clicks. That's it. The moment in time where we have, as far as ratings for news, that is problematic to the news that is being promoted, because it has to be extreme. It has to be egregious. And that unfortunate gaslighting is having real world impacts, and it's having a divide. And it's causing a lot of these white ignorants to lose their mind. And I'm telling you, it's not going to be good for them. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not you believe, look, why are you always talking about rape bait, okay? That's all you do is just rape bait, okay? None of this has to do with anything. It's just, it's just a sad story, okay? How we know that Yarl wasn't trying to break and enter his place, okay? Did you ever think about that? Or if you I think that's very interesting. Because I'm going to do a video on the blatant discrepancy when it comes to the 20-year-old who went into the driveway and got yeeted versus Yarl, and the conversations that are taking place among those two. One, where you give the benefit of doubt. The other one, where the person could have been a criminal. We have to wait and find out. We have to wait. Very interesting. Nevertheless, if you happen to disagree with this video, well, you're more than welcome to call in during disagreement days. We're typically held Friday through Sunday. There'll be a number on screen. You call in, we duke it out. Either or. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Till next time, guys, be amazing. You have a lot of these adults who have childlike mentality.